Well, here we are outside the MCG, and we have seen just one of the most clinical performances from Joel Wilson you'll ever see. Joel, how are you doing, man? You must be one of the all-time great beers. It's all I can think of. This is an incredible test match capped by an incredible performance by Joel Wilson. And it's all thanks to Big Basket now.
And for which child is this?
For the child at heart.
Big Basket. Get toys and other Christmas gifts in 10 minutes. Shop now.
Pezza, we're outside the MCG. We've just seen one of the greatest MCG Boxing Day test matches. In fact, it's one of the greatest MCG test matches that happen in Melbourne. India are just one of the toughest teams to beat here in my lifetime. We've seen maybe the greatest ever player, overseas player, to come and play on these shores, and yet somehow they've lost 7 for 34 after tea, and Australia claim an historic and somehow heroic victory. 11 of my best friends, I love all of them. They all must play forever. Give them the keys to the city. They're all at the wheel. I'm having a great time all of a sudden. How'd you see it?
Mate, well said. Like a stunning victory for Australia, a stirring victory for Australia. Not that many people saw it coming. As you said, to contrast both teams, Australia's win was built on the collective effort of many. India's performance built on some unbelievable brilliance from a few. One in particular, go through it for Australia. It's Cummins up the top today. It's Boland and lined after tea. It's Travis Head either saying put my finger on ice or something else that could be misinterpreted. Quite cavernous and micro if you look at it that way.
It was a testament to the finger bash league.
Exactly. And the reason why there was just such an air of not just relief but just a stunning feeling of euphoria in Australia was because this team and Australian cricket generally has so many ghosts and demons of fourth innings chasers where the team, particularly at this part in the series, can look old, they can look battered, they can look tired, the bowling can look benign, the wickets in Australia can look flat, and the Indian team have had a few chasers, one in particular I can think of which is roughly about the same as this one late in the series that have caused a lot of pain for Australians. So for this team after tea, when there was still reasonable discussion about whether, your Yashasvi Jaiswal and Rishabh Pant could actually do something spectacular, which is absolutely within their abilities, made the win all the more special. And that's before we even get into Joel Wilson's performance and involvement within it and everything else that we saw as a result of that. But for now, for me, top line, it's one of the great Test wins for Australia. It is an earnest, misty-eyed day for Test cricket with the MCG breaking its attendance record for Test matches ever. Pete Lawler from Cricket et al. I think he's about to declare the Ashes dead. The biggest series is now between Australia and India. Okay, we're a bit excited. We're a bit excited. But and the permutations for Australia, not just for the BGT, but for the World Test Championship, and beyond that for Cummins and for Cummins' legacy and this team, reach far and wide from this win. That only a couple of hours ago, on a pretty, a wicket not offering a lot, looked unlikely.
Absolutely right, mate. I don't know what else to add to that other than this felt like a burying of the hatchet for the Australian side after what happened 4 years ago where, many businesses started a huge subscriber count on certain platforms and others fell away. It was this was the last hurdle. Now, they could get pumped in Sydney and we'd be like, well, fuck this, none of this matters, none of it counts. But I've tried in the past week to try and encapsulate what this test match means to Australians and Australian cricket. The people that really like cricket, they love the Adelaide Test match, they love the Gabba, they love what the Perth Stadium's doing over there, and they love most of or some of the Sydney Test match when it's not raining. But the Boxing Day Test match really is the fixture in the calendar where everyone in the nation is paying attention to the cricket. And the performance that India's put on and showed us in the last 5 days has been extraordinary, and how important this win is for what happened 4 years ago and probably the last time before that when India won here as well. To bury that hatchet, this is probably the last thing that this side has not achieved. They still haven't achieved it, but that was it's just so fucking hard to beat India, man. It feels like Australia have walloped India in the last 3 tests, and India almost got out again with another draw going into the Sydney Test match, which felt very similar to how the series played out last time when they were here. So, as a fan, relief.
Mate,
Relief.
Like trying to beat India in these conditions for the last 10 years, like has felt. It's got to a stage of almost like kryptonite-esque. You can play so much good cricket, but it's just like punching one of those car park inflatable
just keep standing back up.
which I like to do, and they just keep coming back. And every time you get a batter out, there's another one to come in. And every time you think you've got on top of a bowler, all of a sudden Mo Siraj has taken third most wickets in this series. You know, like they just keep coming back.
Yep.
But Australia lands a knockout blow in this Test match quite unexpectedly, I have to say. And if there are people there saying, "Oh, mate, fourth innings," you know, it's very difficult to score here, and they were eventually going to crumble. Well, then that person, should be doing something better than watching fucking cricket. Yeah. Do you want to, like, before we sort of wax lyrical about what, now that Australia's won, how good Test cricket is and what this means for existence and stability of mankind? What should we talk about the game? Like, how it started, where we got into it. I got to the first one here. Cat and mouse. Like there was cat and mouse between both teams to start with. Bumrah takes Lyons middle peg in the early overs of the day, glares at him menacingly. Yeah, shows a side of him, which, like, of course, I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, if not the. He's gonna have like a demonic side to him, but he showed it. And Australia set India 340 to win. To me, that triggers me, that amount of that number of runs. I'm like, that allows India a famous win if they do it. Like I'm getting into pessimism. They're into that kind of stuff. There's a lot of Indians coming through the gate today. And
75,000.
Exactly. Even Rohit's looking good on the front dog as well to begin with. I'm like, that minefield's gone away. Yeah. To me. And it just shows that my judgment's just off. But, like, I just had a sense of foreboding about the whole thing. I'm like, the whole thing just looks set up to watch a movie that I've kind of watched before, painfully. Yeah,
I listened to a lot of commentary on the radio this morning, and the chat there was like from different people that their opinion was that we should have bowled last night. And I just felt like, what?
Mate,
like the amount of, like, what Lyon and Boland managed to do yesterday was not to win the game, but to take the game, or to make it more extraordinary for India to win. But, like, it was still very much in the realm of, like, we saw in the first innings, like, these guys bat down to 9, and it's like, 8 to be fair. Akash Deep, I don't think, scoring too many hundreds, but, like, how hard it would be to try and actually roll through them. And they're like, if there's like 6 guys that can get on a roll and score it quicker than a run a ball. And, like, we don't have a bowler that can do what Bumrah did in that, like, the ever present threat. Like Cummins was extraordinary. I thought Stark bowled really well today as well, but, like, not to the point where, like, you can't literally get away at all. Like, they've got so many guys that could have won the game. So I thought when Bumrah bowled Lyon and he looked at him, it was a bit like, you've kept us out here for too long, and I thought that was interesting because I felt anyway that India could very much win the game, but they never really got into a mode where they were actually pursuing that win, even at tea time.
Yeah. Well, I was worried they were just keeping wickets in hand and, like, if we can get it to sort of, like, if we need 6 and over for the last session and a couple of guys are going, you're not going to be able to stop us, right? Which was a situation, yes. But. It was, mate. It was incredible, like that, wasn't it? But then, like, Cummins gets Rohit, Marsh holds on, and sorry, it's just come back to me. On that declaration chat, which everything is in retrospect now, and you're not going to hear anything from anybody who thought differently because Australia's won. Yep. But, like, I feel like, like, there's a difference between people who wanted Australia to bowl last night to have a roll at them at night when it's difficult. Like, there's a difference between what people want to be true in cricket and what is true. Right. Like, we want it to be true that our team is good enough to do that against India and that 250 is enough to play with or whatever. But then there's the reality of exactly what you just said. You're respecting that India bats down to fucking 9 or 10, that our bowlers are on their last legs, that everybody's old and tired, the wicket's not offering very much. That as unaggressive as it is to say, a draw had value for Australia heading into the last game of the series. That maybe some modicum of time pressure for India or requirement to take risk would help Australia win the game. Now we see later on, I think when Rishabh does say, you know what, if I get going here, we might be on.
Have a look at it.
He gets out.
Yep.
right? And that is all due to the time pressure that Australia created.
Yep.
So
I think I always feel the same way about like defensive fields, where the commentators sort of speak ad nauseum about, you know, why they set these fields, and there's like they shouldn't give these guys the easy one, etc. But they never address, but why do they do that? You know, it's like and Australia is such a percentage-based team, and they've obviously drawn the mathematics up, and it's just like, here's what we do, and the results for fucking 5 years now have been, or sorry, call it 3 years. 3 years have been extraordinary, where they keep
up.
for 10 years now have been. They just keep doing this thing. They just keep even today at tea time, when I watched Marnus bowl that last over before tea and over of 125 k/h bumpers.
Yeah,
I was thinking
20 bumpers.
Let's call it a day, boys. Let's call it. I'm happy with the draw here, because Australia could not lose this game, not only for the series, but it makes it very difficult for the World Test Championship. Because then India stormed right into contention.
Yeah.
But so it was huge.
So just to kick it off, Cummins gets row hit, Marsh holds on there. He then gets KL Rahul. I don't know if that went straight or KL Rahul played the wrong line, or if it's a good ball, whatever. Uzi holds on. You know, credit to Australia again today. Like, normally to get 10 poles, you have to make 13 to 15 chances. They didn't today. They
Joel tried his best to make that so.
Fuck me dead. We'll come to that. You know, and again, it was that feeling of like, was Australia bowling well, or was India roping a dope in this situation? You know, Jaiswal and Rishabh starting to look good. Rishabh looking insouciant to every piece of bowling, like taking line for runs when he wanted to, and then line a bowl half volley, just pats it back to him, going, "I'm in control now. I'll decide when I want to hit you for a boundary and where it will go and when it will happen." But 3 for 33 at lunch, so just pessimistic.
Pretty much.
Sorry. Before that, Kohli comes and goes, and Stark gets him. So that's Stark's wicket for the day, but a helpful wicket.
Mate, I said this a couple of weeks ago, and therefore I'm right and genius. But I'm right and genius. But like, that cover drive just seems to get him in more and more trouble. You know, like as the years go on, like how many times does he nick off to that exact ball? This one doesn't swing from Stark, just goes across him. It's a good catch from Usman.
Yeah, normally when Stark bowls that ball, it does go for 4. I've seen it.
I know. It's just like Kohli, he's such a great player, and maybe like he might have the best cover drive in the history of the game, but like in recent years, fuck me, it gets him in trouble. And so was the case this time.
Anyway, again, I'm trying to build it up here, but I did feel like we're looking at the anatomy of a famous chase. All of a sudden, the TV just starts to show how many runs required to win. Admittedly, 270, but nevertheless, it wasn't saying wickets. You know, it was saying runs.
Mate, I don't know about you, but like when I think about chases now, like none of history means fuck all.
Exactly.
Like if it's like they did it in 1912, it's like, were the decks good then? Yeah. You know, like how long did that game go for?
Pretty sure I watched Sunrisers chase 270 or 5 overs the other day.
Did those guys have tuberculosis? Sunrisers,
and in the ground, the Indian fans in Bay 14, you know, clapping, like cheering everyone, every two. They're cheering no balls. It feels like, you know, it's building to a crescendo. I'm like, oh, fuck, I've seen this movie before. Partnership moves to 50. You're looking for the big boys. All of a sudden, Cummins has got his collar up. He's looking like John Travolta. Shout out Patreon. You know, and you're like, okay, we've got some big boys too. As you said, Marnus comes on bowling $120 bumpers before tea. And you're like, fuck, are we shaking hands at 5 o'clock here? What's it doing? Rishabh's like pretending to headbutt them as they go over his head.
Dipsy's head.
Dipsy's head. But let's get to the intense segment for Big Basket now. He goes, and this is brought to you by Big Basket. If that wasn't clear, it starts with a big heart. Electronics, toys, medicinal matters, things you can't get.
Things that are crying more. Tissues. Burn treatments. Yep. That kind of stuff. If you've got sore fingers,
tissues for both sets of fans, probably.
Yep. 100% climaxing or tears.
So, I want to talk about the post-tea demolition. What do you want, or do you, or would you rather? I'm going to give you a choice here. Actually, I've got post-tea demolition, but
choose your own adventure.
Or do you want to just adventure straight into Joel?
Anytime there's an appeal and then you see Joel, and by the way, he's looked exactly the same for like 10 years now, which I respect, and I want to know what the treatment is for the eyes and the skin, generally speaking. But
need some treatment for the eyes.
But when that ball crashed into Jaiswal's back leg, and there was a strong appeal, but it was like it wasn't like celeb appeal stuff, but it was that appeal, and then they go for it, and then it's just one of the wildest umpires' calls of all time, by the way. Like, it's not just hitting the bail, it's actually hitting part of the stump as well. So, like, you know... Mate. So technically he's right. But fuck me, Joel. And like, he's done it, and I've just gone to myself at home, he's done it again, Joel, which is an issue that I'm seeing someone for, but...
Mate, look, I just want to kick off by saying, like... to be fair to Joel with that decision, Stark wasn't that sure. Stark wasn't going up like a celeb appeal, right?
Yeah,
He wasn't sure. So obviously from that viewpoint, it looked like it could go either way, right? But fuck me, looking at that umpire's call, the ball was wearing the stump like a fucking skin suit. Like the ball was passing through the stump's body like Patrick Swayze to Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost. Like there was a lot of ball on the stump there, and they're saying, well, 49.9% fucking Democratic swing state stuff. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about?
When I see one of those ones, it's like if the ball just actually like just hits the stump and like without being interfered with, like the stump's probably coming out of the ground, like at that pace. And it's like when I saw that, I was like,
oh, any danger!
Fucking hell, Joel, you've done it again. Like what he did in the 2019 Ashes when like with the LBW of Stokes, like I still think about that every other day. Like. And then, like, he just appears to be doing every fucking Australian game. Yeah. He's umpiring every game that Australia's involved in, and he never gets it right. It must be one of the best beers, because how does he get a fucking
I'd love to have
gig?
a beer with him.
I'd kill for a beer with him.
Top 10 beer.
But when
the yarns must be fucking cosmic.
Seriously, the chat
is unbelievable.
From Square League, it must be way better than model train sets, like I used to experience.
One of the greatest raconteurs since fucking JFK. Like, he must walk into the sheds afterwards with the Aussie boys. Like, hey, boys, I'm sorry. Like, come here, Joel.
Mate, it actually must be raconteur, honestly.
Yeah,
like, it seriously must be. But when that happens, I feel like then like a lull sort of extended for maybe like an hour, where like I felt like some of the energy out of the room being the stadium, was sapped out of the Australian side, because like it got into that period where it was like in that 40 to 70 over period where like the ball was doing much less. Jaiswals was set, and they were thinking like, how perfect do we need to be now to create another 8 chances or 7 chances I think at that point? And they did find a way, but I haven't felt like it just ain't happening with Joel. It ain't happening.
Well, there was more to come, because let's talk about. So look, Richard perishes, and shout out to Travis Head. So apparently this wicket from Travis Head has not only cracked the game open for Australia, but enabled them to make the World Test Championship final due to over rates. He said to Cummins, "Just bring me on." And then he's taken this wicket. We actually at the time we were situated. Mitch Marsh was kind of right in front of us. We're up high, but looking down at him, and he was cutting, understandably, quite a forlorn figure and a lonely figure on his own. And I hope it's fucking bulk beers for Bison tonight.
He's got another game for sure.
Well,
I reckon.
I wouldn't be surprised myself as well, but the shoulders looked slumped, and there wasn't a lot going on in the game. I mean, Rishabh and Jaiswal had built a hefty partnership, and fucking bin lids bowling, with the shades on to help the over rate, and like next minute, like you're looking at Bison, fucking go, oh fuck, there's a catch for me. You can't drop him with those buckets. He takes the catch, and Travis Head is he's either dipping his finger into ice to ice it because it's so helpful, or he's dipping a micro penis into a cavernous vagina. Now,
it can only be one. Choose your own adventure with that stuff, Yeah.
Hell of a way to announce it, but I appreciate what he's doing for that community.
I mean, Rishabh has copped a couple of good balls in this game, hasn't he? Sometimes he just can't do anything, and Rishabh's just copped a couple of good ones in the game. I think Mitch Marsh was singing Unchained Melody, thinking about the ghost situation of that stump. He was not concentrating. He wasn't concentrating.
Righteous Brothers getting a few streams on Spotify tonight. Anyway, that's still the lead-in. That's still the lead-in. And
it gets worse.
And so so Jaiswal's batting with God knows who. Jadeja, maybe Jadeja's out. I don't know, but Jaiswal becomes the wicket.
Jadeja was out, so yeah.
Jaiswal becomes the wicket, right? He's set once again. Now Cummins comes into bowl. Short of a length, sniffs-ish.
Slow ball bouncer.
Oh, was it really?
Okay,
okay.
He might have thrown his fingers down.
Right. Okay. And they all go up. They all go up pretty like pretty much in unison. Australia.
Cummins was positive.
Yeah, Cummins
and Carey takes it.
Cummins reviews straight away after Joel Wilson.
After Joel says,
gives
"No,
it
wouldn't have
not
thought
out."
so. What are you guys appealing for? LB?
Now, I mean, let's just walk through this like chronologically.
Yep.
We get that, the Aussies are in a huddle. You can normally tell, like at the ground as well, what the players actually think of a review, because if a lot of them don't think it's out, they don't even stand with the team.
Yeah.
They stand somewhere else, but they're all in tight, and he's the big wicket.
Yes.
And you get the first video, and it's just conclusive.
Yeah.
You're just like, well, there is a clear deviation. I can actually see the, like, as the ball comes to Jaiswal and then contact is made, you can see the ball change its actual rotation from the way it comes into Jaiswal to overspin, like to Alex Carey.
So you can see the ball change rotation, and you can see the deviation the blade and the glove to Alex Carey.
That's right.
Yeah.
They look at it quite a few times. Where you're like, what are they looking for here?
Yeah.
And then we move to Snicko, and then Snicko is essentially unresponsive.
Yeah.
There's a general burble that just doesn't appear to be any kind of what they call a spike.
It's like when people do ghost tours and they wave their little wands in there, and it's just like all the way through. It reminded me of that,
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
More ghost stuff from me.
Yeah. I'm scanning the radar for alien life form, and like I'm sure there's a little burble there. Anyway,
then someone walks past in a sheet.
And so at that moment in time, just to bring you into where we were, most people thought, well, Jaiswal's out. They're looking at this a lot. But then when Snicko showed, barely a murmur for anything, or a general murmur, there was some, there was a big old cheer in the press box we were in from one certain section. There was some hollering and yahooing and clapping and banging of desks, and you could hear it over at Bay 14 as well. They were cock-a-hoop, as you would be, really. I mean, I'm doing that in that situation as well if I'm in the crowd, not necessarily in the press box.
Right.
But, and it's at this point where the video returns back. Now, we haven't heard this. I'm presuming that the third umpire has gone like, fuck me, Dan. Because the video, he must ask for further replays.
Because there's also the side-on angle where you can see the ball is placed on the face of the bat, and then you can see it also when it's still on his glove. And so he's probably just got a stinger being like, well, let's just I'll tick every box. I'll do my job, tick every box. And he must have gone, for fuck's sake.
Like he's fucking gone and got an eye test as well. It's like, am I fucking hallucinating here? Like we live in an age of gaslighting. It's like,
exactly.
what is I swear to God this ball's deviating, but Snicko's giving me nothing.
Yeah.
Next thing we know, we start laughing because all of a sudden, Fox is bringing up these new technology I've never seen, where there's a fucking red line.
It was green.
It's green. Green. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like showing the ball deviating. And I'm like, well, that is what I can see, but also I've never seen that green line before.
It was like one of the F2 freestyles of thumbnails from back in the day, like, unbelievable curve on this free kick.
like this has got to be out. Surely,
he smashed
we can see it. And then the third umpire has taken the F2 freestyles green line. And told Joel, once again, you're going to have to change your decision.
G'day, Joel, it's me again. You know what I'm about to say, baby. and so cancels, and he's out, and everyone around the ground's going off. The same people in the press box are going off as well. By the way, Jaiswal has a temerity to say, well, what's that about? Mate, you fucking middled it. Like, you're allowed to be upset, and, it was a huge moment in the game, in the day, etc. But, mate, fucking hell, the confidence to question that decision, when you can see it. You can see what happened.
The question I had after that, so this is where I've got some sympathy for Jaiswal in terms of the, in terms of deferring to the law itself, right? If one umpire's given you not out, and then the Snicko tool has also said you haven't hit the ball, you're entitled to think that in the case of doubt you would defer back to the on-field umpire's decision. So we inquired after this as well, and I'm not sure if this was done on TV. It may have been. I know Torfel was talking or whatever.
It might have been 7 because Torfel was saying it.
Right,
yeah.
But the understanding is that that Snicko is not a binding vehicle through which to decide whether someone's out or not out. Right. It's a tool for the third umpire. So the third umpire can overrule Snicko in what appears to me to be clear and obvious, using the VAR language, but a clear and obvious situation where you would do that. Right. So like he's fucking smashed it, and they've got to the right decision, even though 2 elements of the 3 were fucking hopeless. Right.
Right.
But I am looking forward to, I think as Dan Cherney tweeted, this is one of the great tweets, and that was the last Test match. There's going to be some good reactions to it. I mean, like, is that like Aussie bias talking about that? Because I'm just seeing him smash the ball.
Well, I think what made it even funnier was then Akash Deep was then out.
We're not even there yet.
So then Boland gets Akash Deep caught at bat pad where the offside were like 100% confidence. Cummins was feeling a point, and he came storming in before like head even took the catch at bat pad, just going straight away because he knew the job was going to give it out. And so the offside were confident, but the leg side, including head, was not that confident. So then they showed the replay, and there's actually like you can see the cherry
there's
that's created.
Cherry on his back. What am I seeing?
So, but Snicko gets that one, and then Akash Deep then questions the umpire again. So but there's a cherry on his bat, and there's a spike, and also deviation. So it was. I think like in the heat of battle, if I'm a fan and that happens to the team that I support, then I'm just like, it's all going a bit Pete Tong. It's all going a bit wrong. Like it's not fair. But you take a step back and it's like, okay, I think all these things were correct in the end, but I think you're allowed to feel emotional and like heat of the moment stuff. But get off the fucking field.
Listen, exactly, pack 'em. But this would probably wind up the opposition. But like, is it credit to the umpiring protocols that like they, at least in the case of Jaiswal, that they weren't so bound by like rigid protocols that they were like required to give that not out, because that third umpire had enough flexibility to go like, you're wrong on the field and this tool is wrong too.
Look, I'm sure people in the internet are going to draw examples of like, what about what this happened in 2007 against
with
the
Abraham
New
Lincoln
Zealand?
and the slaves.
I understand that, but like for the Jaiswal one especially, I can see the image with the ball literally on the face of the bat and then his glove, and also the deviation plus the rotation of the ball. So like, it's not like there's no evidence. In fact, it was that there was such obvious evidence that it was that you didn't need to follow the previous guidelines that are there for use of tools.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Yeah.
Anyway. Still a little bit of work to do for Australia there. I think once they got Akash Deep, it was looking good, but even so, and then what are we looking at? Nathan Lyon gets gets one at the end.
No, Nathan Lyon, he got ready quite early, which was fairly significant. Washington Sudar remains not out at the end, but it was after it was Akash Deep, it was Bumrah, which bowling gets him. Yeah,
Australia took catches.
Yeah, they did.
Smith took a good grab. They looked at that a fair few times as well. Just to see if that one carried.
Yeah, Bumrah was actually having a shower by the time it was given out, but and then Nathan Lyon gets the LBW with Siraj when they at the correct end. As soon as it was Goffey, I was like, he doesn't get many.
That's right. When Goffey, they started celebrating then.
I mean, Joel gave it out, which was a bit weird. But that's the weirdest part. The stumping.
He was actually standing next to Carey when the ball was bowled. No, Joel, you're square leg. Hell of a beer, Joel. So,
mate, what a win for Australia.
Australia wins the Test. Australia goes 2-1 up in the BGT. Got to say, didn't see it coming, which is my bad. Cummins, speaking of Cummins, Pat Cummins, Johnny Mullen medal, just Herculean today. Sets it, gets it going, gets Jaiswal when they needed to get him. Yep. Most runs he's ever scored in a Test match. I swear he's fucking had 5 direct hits from mid on today as well. In this Test as well.
Well, he got the run out of Jaiswal in the first innings,
right? So
which was actually Coley's wicket, I think, in the end. But
so. I mean, this is. I mean, we gave him flowers yesterday. We do it all the time, but gave him a good old glaze. But
the suck off must continue.
This is a guy that he never gives up. He's just got the lion heart of DK Lilly. Never ever gives up.
He's a winner.
It's hot as fuck. For me.
49, 41, 3 for 3 for a run out. Captain.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Good luck. Climate change.
Smith should be captain for me, but anyway, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Exactly. Hey, he goes, just want to, now that Australia's won, talk about Test cricket in a misty-eyed way. So the MCG breaks its attendance record. You're seeing some 1936-37 stuff. And people didn't have a lot to do back then. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of stuff going on. Whereas
things are closed on Sundays, as an example.
Exactly. All right. So for Australia to break that record for Test attendance, which would therefore mean the highest Test attendance ever in Test cricket here.
Yes.
I mean, that's extraordinary.
Might be a nice moment actually, because just to say, like, to all the people we've met so many people that have obviously either live here or come from overseas. A lot of people from the US, actually, we've met a lot of people from the US that have flown here, people from India, or people, Aussies that are just living in Australia that have come up and asked for photos or just like wanted to chat. Or that's been really heartwarming and like amazing for us. We're just two dickheads off the internet, obviously, but that's been incredible. But like how special the Indian fans have made this specific test match is I keep saying profound this past week, but it just has been, like the energy they've brought, as much as Australians love their cricket, especially this test match at this time of year, this game would have missed 50% of its aura without the Indian fans.
Absolutely.
There was this great energy with like barbs between Bay 13 and 14 with the Aussie spectators. And
I hope they were good barbs. I couldn't quite hear it.
I hope so, yeah. I've got a couple of DMs which said it was not good barbs, but
Okay.
but for the most part it was like, I think it was good-natured. But like just the energy that, this test match actually gave us fucking everything, Like, who would have thought... I sent a text from a mate of mine who said, like, who would have thought, like, 15 years ago that dropping wickets could produce a test match like that, which is a great point, because for so long, this wicket and the SCG were fucking horrendous. And now we've just had 5 unbelievable days. The Constance thing, the Kohli thing, the crowd, the fact that we went for 5 days, Nitish Kumar Reddy's 100, Bumrah's ball. This test match has just been absolutely incredible. And it's just been so awesome I just talk about people in my life who don't necessarily like cricket that have been really invested in the cricket. And a lot of people in England, for instance, they love it when they come here because they feel like it's much more in the public consciousness than it is in the UK. And like, I even said to a friend, Tom Decent, today, like, geez, the Ashes are going to feel flat next year because, like, the English always come out here, and the Ashes for me is still the biggest thing, but it's not like that, and it's just been SCG is going to be the same, but fuck me, a lot of chat about 4-day tests and all that, but that's about as good as it gets in my lifetime.
And like in Australia in particular, this is the test match. I'd say even more than the SCG, where like you have that combination of fans who are like not only like a mile deep and an inch wide, but also like a mile wide and an inch deep. Like your casuals and your hardcores all come together. Yeah. And
wow.
What you said with depth, and you got the dipping the old finger in there. And what you said about the Indian contribution is, very convenient because Australia won, and it's very easy to be magnanimous, in that situation. I think it's worth pointing out that a lot of people supporting India are Australian, and that through our conversation with like Paul Kennedy last week, this is what cricket looks like in Australia into the future. Mm-hmm. We have the privilege, probably through Indian cricket, to be honest, to make this endeavour full-time. The majority of our work still focuses on Australia and the UK, but really, like, this is the future of cricket, in Australia, this kind of stuff. And I wondered watching Tish Kumar Reddy's century, for example, a 21-year-old plays for Sunrisers Hyderabad. I wonder when his career is over whether he will achieve something as potentially prestigious and with as much gravitas as a 100 on Boxing Day at the MCG with his father on the boundary, and receiving the applause from everybody for that. He may well do. I'm not sure the IPL, can offer that. Maybe it will one day. I'm not sure, but it's really a great opportunity to right now note that as much garbage junk cricket exists around the globe for most of the year, right now, for a couple of weeks, we're enjoying the thing that we grew up with and grew up on, and froth on the most. Like we're in we're just immersed in it right now. It's just the hottest series of all time, and both teams are giving us everything, just going blow for blow, and it's just once again so easy to be misty-eyed when your team's just won. There's fucking zero chance I'm saying this if Australia's failed to get the chocolates after Joel's decision.
I saw you burning an Indian flag before.
Yeah.
And an effigy of Rohit Sharma. I thought, fucking hell, Pezza. Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like so we'll put our main podcast out tomorrow, where we can run the rule over all of the implications of this. Stark's injury. What does it mean for Rohit? What does it mean for Kohli? Mitch Marsh? All of the it's fucking Test cricket. There's great stories, and then there's some tough stories to go with it. It's zero-sum game, but I don't think now's the time for that.
4 days.
Yeah, exactly. It's time for Australia to have bulk beers. It's time for Indian fans to be sad for a bit, but it's time to regroup in a couple of days' time, because India could still walk away from Australia with the BGT and Bailey in a coffin. It's way too aggressive. I don't mean it, but also Australia has a chance to to make up for defeats past to India as well, so there's still fucking tons to play for.
My understanding is that if Australia win in Sydney, they could lose 2-0 in Sri Lanka and automatically qualify for the World Test Championship final. So there's still lots to play for. I haven't checked the forecast in Sydney recently, but
I'm sure it's great.
I'm sure it's great, and we'll actually be in Sydney the night before the SCG Test match for our next live show at the Enmore Theatre. There are no tickets available. That sold out ages ago, but especially Ricky Ponting is going to be awesome as well. But there are tickets available for one more live show, which is in Melbourne, which is on January 9, Forum Theatre. Ticket is in the link in the description of this video, or if you're listening, it'll be in the description of the audio as well. And there's only a few tickets left actually with that with special guest Pete Hanscom, which will be our second Melbourne show, because the night before we're doing Aaron Finch, which is also sold out. Anyway, Pezza, that's what's happening with us. AskTGC.
AskTGC, a little reward if you've made it this far. And fuck, there's a lot. There's a lot. I'm still scrolling up.
There's some excited Aussies.
Okay, look, no names here. Goat removes coat. Someone says, what did I... Oh, well, Joel Wilson's painted on ice says, what did I miss?
Quite a bit, Joel.
I have tickets for the first 3 days of the Sydney Test, and I hope it buckets down for all 5 days. Brackets 6 months. Australia 2-1. Wife's eardrums burst. Divorce pending. Joel Wilson hate Australia. Why? Reddit. Joel Wilson give something out challenge. Impossible. Did we win it in the right way? When does the Finger Bash League start? Sydney cloud seeding. How to? I just had my best day of the year. I'm the father to a 4-month-old. Discuss. Will this be one of the all-time asterisk wins? Does the finger... Does the finger thing mean the taxes? That's good. That's good. Okay, let's read a couple more because Australia's one. Optical illusion fathers India. Will that be one? Will that like the Jaiswal? Are people going to defend that as an optical illusion?
Yeah.
The ball actually starting to rotate as well.
Differently,
That's an optical illusion that can happen too.
At Lords, it can actually swing after the bat, so maybe that's what happened to the MCG that one time.
Yeah, at that time.
Even though you could see the ball on the bat.
Currently buying Tesla and installing solar panels. Thoughts? Congrats to Washington for protecting his average with the red ink there.
Yeah.
Punt, deluxe gas truck funny. I just jizz-wallied. No question, just gloat like the entitled coats we are, laid on thick for the crime wars. Joel Wilson, witness protection, how get? Long live the pig pen. Sandpaper Aussie fingers glass. Can penguins go to the glue factory? I will say it louder for the people in the back. Catchers win fucking matches. Gavaskar explaining optical illusions on comms. Wee woo, wee woo.
Oh, Sonny, come on. Was he actually?
Come on, guys.
Oh, come on, Sonny.
Jay Shah weather balloon whereby. How do I come out to my family and admit I love cricket? 7 for 34 in 20 overs with an old ball. Is that the optical illusion Sonny was referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, final one. Stiffy won't go down. What do?
Yeah, I mean, that is a story. It feels like Australia have battered India for the last 3 test matches, yet it was so close, yet India have lost 7 for 34 in 20 overs with an old ball on that deck when that just was not foreseeable in the entire game. So, licks to India, credit to Australia. Cry more, India, of course. But you know what? A new story starts in a few days. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on TGC throughout the entirety of 2024. And I think we might keep going 2025. I guess we'll see what happens.
You'll get a podcast before it's out as well, because we just don't stop. Apparently.
So that'll be out tomorrow.
Eggs on the eyes stuff.
And one for Joel as well. Pour out your drinks for Joel tonight. A glass of milk indeed. Cheers.